Alright, so we're kind of a mess right now, so I'm going to clean up real quick. Alright, so today I'm going to be explaining how to get the two carburetors out of these. This is a McCulloch Mac 135 weed eater right here. Alright, so to do this you're probably going to need some screwdrivers, at least for the weed whacker, which we'll start with. And this uses mostly Torx screws, so we'll see how it goes. So what I'll do is I'll start by taking these covers off right here, and I probably really only need to take this cover off after I find the right size Torx bit. Right on the money. And a ratcheting screwdriver makes it go by a little quicker if you have one, and if you can use one. So start taking screws out. That's actually far enough. We don't even have to take this cover off because the carburetor's right here. Alright, so once you get this cover off right here, you want to get down and look at the carburetor, and right here's your air filter, and you want to take that out, and it's just kind of pressure fit in there, and it's just a little piece of foam, so you just pinch it out and pull it out. And that's all you got to do for that. And next you'll see we have these two bolts here which have to come out to get the air filter housing off. Alright, now I'll take those bolts out. I just got the right size nut driver, which is a 3/8 on the ratcheting screwdriver, and we'll just pull those out real quick, like that, and like that. And I probably won't get this running today because it still needs a fuel bulb and a bunch of other stuff, but it's kind of leaking fuel, as you can see. But next what we'll want to do is we'll pull this cover off, we'll disconnect the fuel lines from the primer bulb. We'll set that off to the side, we don't need that. And one thing that I like to do to kind of organize where all my screws and bolts is take a piece of paper, just a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, just set it on your workbench. And once you have your piece of paper, all you got to do is just draw little squares and then write what certain screws are, and then just set them in those squares. So say those little cover screws right there, I'll just put a little square right here in the corner, just write cover screws, if I can write like that, and just write cover screws in there, and I'll just set them in there, and that's where they'll go for now. And then just try not to bump it around too much, because if you do you'll have problems. And it's easier if you can put it on another workbench over there, but I was kind of occupied holding junk out of the way. So anyways, back to getting this carburetor off. So now that you've got these bolts out, or these nuts out, we can just get rid of all the fuel lines on here and pull those off, and pull this off of there, off of the bolts that it's sitting on. Pull that fuel line out, drop it on the floor, and then you gotta just take your throttle cable off, which just a little bent piece, and it goes right around this little controller arm right here. Alright, so now that we have our carburetor off, we can begin disassembling that, which is just a Phillips head, which should work, and it's probably this big, if I can get it out. So that's close enough. And just pull those out. Pull your screws on both sides out. Be careful that things don't come spring-a-thinging out and don't go flying all over the place. So just pull stuff off lightly and gently. Alright, there's that side. And then we'll pull this side off. And as you can see, I've kind of labeled all these and put them in their respective squares. It's got the cover screws, the carb nuts, the carb screws, and then just the little pieces that we pulled out of the carb, which would be just a little lever that pushes down, a bar that holds that, the spring that pushes that lever up, the screw that retains all this in there, and then the actual pin itself. Now that we have our carburetor apart and we've got all those little bits out that we don't need in there, we can take some carbon choke cleaner right here. And it doesn't really matter what kind you have, just whatever you have will work. So take the cap off, a little straw, and I always like to use the straw. Just kind of directs the spray and makes it so you don't have to use quite as much. And pull our sleeves up and just spray all around inside in here. Get all the little holes, even the screw holes if you want to, just to clean those out in case they're a little dirty. Just every single little hole in here, all around. You can open this up, spray around in here, get everything cleaned out. Alright, so now that we got those cleaned out, it's nice to kind of clean these off sometimes, the little covers that you took off earlier. So what I like to do is just, if you can, carefully pull the little pieces of rubber off without breaking them. If they're a little hard, that might be a sign to replace them, which you might have to do with this here. No, looks like I got it off fine. Just as long as your diaphragm is actually moving and works, I don't really see a need to replace. Some people replace them anyways, which is just fine. They're like usually $4 or whatever for to get all this stuff in here, all the little gaskets. And so what you're going to want to do is take these little pieces here. So what you're going to want to do is just take these little pieces here and just spray them off with your carb cleaner again. I'm not going to do it in the shop because I don't. Alright, now that I have a much better camera and an empty SD card, we can actually finish this. We're spending a minute to trying to figure that out. So after we've got all this cleaned out, and it might be helpful to maybe take a wire brush to any parts that are a little harder to get cleaned out with just the carb cleaner. We're going to want to just pretty much put everything back in. So what we're going to do is take this, and we'll need all our little parts that we took out just a bit ago, and put these two together like that, and then put this bar in there and set the spring back in the little hole that it came out of right there. If I can get it right. Grab a screwdriver with a little magnet end on it. That'll help things be a little better. Yeah, set that there. That's set. Drop that. And this has to be inside this little thing right there. It's got to be right there. So what I'll do, I'll set that in there. Squash the little spring, catch under that pin, and then hold it, and then put the screw in the hole real quick. Unless the bar is in the way, in which case I won't do that. Push the bar over a little bit. See, this part right here is a big pain, because all the parts are just teeny tiny and they don't want to go in, and they just want to fly around everywhere like that stupid spring. And it's just a big pain. but it's not actually too bad. It just takes a little bit of meticulousness. So pull that up, stick that under, and put in there. Retighten this screw up real quick. The screwdriver's too small for that. Set that in there. This one. And tighten that in there. Once you get it tight, just let it go. There we go, snug that up. And that's all we need to do for that. Still recording? Yes, all right, wonderful. So what we'll do is we'll start putting these back on, which is pretty easy. Just gotta find the right size, the right side, and then whichever side this goes on, this one goes on. This goes on this side then, and it looks like it goes this way. No, it does not. See. So there we go. Get that set right. And then we'll set this on here. Like so. And grab your smaller screws. Stick those in there. Right here. And tighten them up. And same for the other screw. It's not quite lined up. Yeah, get it lined up. And it'll go in really easily. Like that. Sweet. So I got that side done. Now we just have to finish this side. And you can kind of use the holes in here and these covers, kind of how they look, and little indents right there to figure out where stuff kind of fits and goes. And use indentations on this side to look and see, okay, there's indents there, which means that this goes down. So that's easy. And we'll have to move our little throttle piece out of the way so we can get these screws in. Right here, and right here. And yeah, so we'll screw these in. The quality of this video has probably increased a lot because I grabbed a different camera than my old camera. I just had to find another SD card because I filled one up already. So we'll go ahead and put this in. And it goes choke side this way, maybe? Yeah, it goes choke side this way, because here's your power right here. Your throttle. So let's see here. This has to pull that way. Kind of have to think about which way you need stuff to go, because when you put it on, it'll be sort of reversed a little bit. It's on right. Yeah. Actually, maybe backwards. Hold on. It's helpful sometimes to this way. To take videos of what you're doing, or take pictures as you're doing it, because then when you go back to put it together, you know which way things go. Unlike me, who doesn't really remember how this goes. This one goes input here, and we'll just figure out all of our fuel lines here real quick. Let's see. There's that one right there. And kind of tuck these out of the way because we don't need them to be in the way right now. We'll take our cover back. Like this. And it goes on here. Actually, that's not correct. One of these has to go in here. And this will go over the end again. And this one will loop around here into here. Yes, that's correct. So, we kind of got our carb back together after cleaning it. And we'll grab our 3/8 nut driver, grab our carburetor nuts. Gonna put them on, put one on at least. Sweet. Good. Tighten that. And then these don't really have to be torqued, they just have to be tight enough that it won't fall off. Get that torqued on, or tightened on. And put our little foam filter back in. Make sure this is all still in the shot. Sweet, it is. Alright. And I'll just tuck you out of the way. It don't really matter. Just so long as it doesn't get in the way of any of the moving stuff. That looks good. That looks fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. If it's a little long, sometimes I'll just leave it because it's not a huge deal. Stuff can kind of be hanging around. It's not a huge deal just as long as it doesn't impede anything. Stick that in there. Tighten these cover screws. And since I've already got like 24 minutes of footage to edit, I don't really want to do any more because that's probably like 3 hours of editing. We're going to call that good, and I'm not going to do the chainsaw today because I know that that one's clean already. Because I've cleaned it and used it so far this year already. So yeah, thanks for watching. Shout out to Mr. Novotny. Bye. Thanks to this wonderful filming setup. Holy crap, this thing worked great. Just like stick your tripod on your stick welder, but stick it the right way around so it actually does what it's supposed to do. Like this. Yeah, just kind of set that like that on your stick welder, your little Craftsman welder, and that'll work for making videos, especially just for small engines class. So yeah, there's my little project right there. Look at that mug. Little power wheels. I'm gonna tune that up a little bit. Here's my other camera that I was using in the beginning of the video.